And the output of this program, let's assume the main method, it calls a method called method. The name of the method is method. So it comes here. That method, it throws an exception. What exception it throws? 1 divided by 0, arithmetic exception. Just now I mentioned. So this is the calling. Calling means called method. So when there is an exception, it notifies the caller. So caller try to handle the exception. So it notifies the caller. Caller has arithmetic exception. So this part will be executed. Okay, so this message will be printed. By the way, after this method call, this will not be printed. Okay, then let's move on to the another exercise. What will be displayed when you run the program? So now you have a test class, same like before, it calls a method. The name of the method is method itself. So it comes here, and when the method, it throws an exception, fine, no problem. Here you have a string, inside the method you have a string, and again you have this character at, you are trying to print character at 3. You don't have the position 3. In the string, you have the index, the position 0, 1, 2. Okay, but 3, it doesn't have a 3. So this throws string index out of bound exception, which is a runtime exception. Okay. Okay, as the method has a catch block runtime exception to handle this string index out of bound exception, which is a subclass of runtime exception. So this catch block will catch that exception and handle the exception. As it comes from the main method, it goes back to the main method and continue with this print statement. So runtime exception is method, and after the method call, these two statements will be printed. Okay. So what is the compilation error in this program? Like method name m and one parameter integer value. If value less than 40, it throws a new exception. As it throws a new exception, as the method throws an exception, either you need to catch the exception or declare the exception. You know, catching means you need to have a try catch block, or else you write here here you write throws exception. That is what you call declaring. So here the method signature write throws exception, or else catch the exception. How to do that? Try catch block, right? At try catch block. Okay. About the finally class, so let's assume that you have this program. It has a main method. It calls the method m. So here is the method m. Method m has try block, statement 1, 2, 3, etc. And then catch block, a finally block, the statement after the finally block. Okay. Now let's try to answer the questions. What are the questions? If no exception occurs, which statements will be executed? So when there is no exception, of course, statement 1, 2, 3. After 3, it goes to 5. 4 will not be executed, by the way, because there is no exception. Okay. So statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. Right away, statement 5, and then 6. As it is a method, it goes back to the caller. Caller has statement 7. Okay, so these are all the things. Statements will be executed. If statement 2 throws an exception of type exception 1, now which statement will be executed? So from here, it calls the main method, method m. Statement 1 executed and then statement 2. This statement throws an exception. So straight it go to 4. After 4, 5 will be executed and then 6 will be executed and it goes back to main method and 7 will be executed. Okay. And now statement 2 throws exception 2. So this method call comes here. Statement 1 and 2 will be executed. 2 throws exception 2. we don't have a catch block, catch exception 2. So JVM handles that exception. After finishing that statement, comes back to 5. Okay. After coming back to 5, the program terminates. So 6 and 7 may not be executed. Okay, because this is handled by the JVM. When JVM handles it, the program terminates abruptly, abnormally. Okay, that's the thing you need to remember. If statement 2 throws an exception, neither exception 1 nor exception 2. So which statements are executed? So statement 2 again. So statement 1 and 2 will be executed. It throws an exception. So of course, when it throws an exception, JVM handles the exception. So whatever the statements that will be executed, I mean the error message will be printed and it comes back to execute 5. When JVM handles the exception, this is the thing. Finally will be executed in all situations. But the statements after finally will not be executed if the exception is caught by the JVM. Okay. So here in this, we have rethrowing an exception. Suppose, assume that set radius method, here is it. Here it is. Okay, assume that the set radius method, the question is on the top. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah. Set radius method, though here it is. This method, suppose that it throws an exception, which is invalid radius exception. Which is defined in the listing in program 12.10 in chapter 12. If you go ahead and if you see it, you will see a custom exception class. It's a custom exception, user defined exception class. Okay. So when this set radius throws an exception, this is a subclass of exception. So we have a catch block to handle that exception. Here is it. Exception EX. This is a subclass of invalid radius exception is a subclass of exception class. Okay. So there is a catch block to handle that exception. So this message will be printed exception in main in method. This message. After that, can you see here? This catch block throws the same exception to the caller. This throw EX, where it is throwing the same exception is thrown to the caller. Who is the caller? Main method is the caller. So it goes back to the main method. And do you have an exception catch block there? Yes, you have a catch block for exception. So this method will be printed. Okay then. So this is what you call rethrowing. So catch block catches the exception, handle the exception and throws it again to the caller. So it's handled here. It's caught here and handled here. The exception is method plus exception and main. Both the thing will be printed. Okay. This is about some of the exercises for exception handling. Thank you.